Hi, and welcome to my pattern transformation workshop for negative self-talk. My name is Maddie. It's my mission to spread awareness of how unprocessed pain shapes our personal and collective experience, and I guide people through the process of pattern healing to facilitate embodied change. In these workshops, I help people learn how to work with pain-based patterns, and I alternate between self-directed and redirected pain. So this workshop on negative self-talk is essentially a self-directed pain pattern. That's pain turned within. So let me give you an example of how negative self-talk shapes experience. Back in 2016, I moved to France to start a new life as a tour guide in Paris. And against all the odds, I had this spark of hope that it might be possible for me to create this whole new life and be successful and make Paris my forever home. But I couldn't shake this feeling that it wouldn't work out for me and that I didn't really deserve it. Recent experiences in my life were driving thoughts that I wasn't capable, that I didn't really have what it took, and that I couldn't really change my life, and that it'd only be a matter of time before it all fell apart. And these thoughts made me feel hopeless, anxious, overwhelmed, and energetically just really heavy in my body, like there was this brick wall blocking my way that I just couldn't get past. So because of these feelings, I procrastinated a lot, I sabotaged opportunities that did come my way, I settled for less than I should have with people-pleasing behaviours, and just held myself back from really going for it. I was telling myself that I couldn't do it and it wasn't possible for me, so my resulting behaviours were fulfilling this exact same expected outcome that I couldn't do it. And this is how negative self-talk drives our experience, because I eventually returned to the UK feeling broken, defeated, and just filled with shame at my apparent failure. I knew on some level that my belief that I couldn't do it had shaped my experience and that it would keep doing that until I faced this pattern, but I didn't know how, what to do about it, or where to start. So in this workshop, we're going to do just that, and we're going to learn how to work with this pattern to soften its influence over our lives. So you'll need a pen and a bit of paper and a comfy seat where you won't be disturbed for around about 30 minutes. Before we jump in, this is a pay what you can workshop. There is a link in the description below. You can pay whatever you want, but please support this work. I keep these workshops relatively short on purpose, around 30 minutes every time, because doing the work of healing does not require lots and lots of time. It just needs repeated moments of self-connection and embodied action. So that said, let's jump in and have a closer look at what negative self-talk is all about, starting with what it actually is. So negative self-talk is essentially an internal commentary where we interpret ourselves, our actions, or our future in a consistently harsh, hopeless, and distorted way. And our inner voice talks to us from this position. It's more than just negative thinking, like from time to time. It's a consistent way of talking to yourself as if your flaws, fears, mistakes, or insecurities are fixed truths rather than temporary experiences. So it's not just a fleeting negative thought, it's consistent. And it's believable because it's the voice in your head. It has 3 key characteristics. 1, it is identity-based. So rather than focusing on our behaviour, the negative voice fuses what we do with who we are. 2, it treats thoughts and feelings as facts rather than feedback or just information that we can use to direct our course. And 3, it usually contains cognitive distortions like catastrophizing, mind reading, overgeneralizing. Basically, it's exaggerated and unfair about the self by default. But negative self-talk shouldn't be confused with realistic accountability, acknowledging mistakes, or constructive self-improvement. For example, I need to prepare better next time I have a job interview is an objective assessment of where we can make a behavioural adjustment that more positively affects future outcomes. Whereas I'll never get a job, there's something wrong with me, I'm just not good enough, there's all the hallmarks of negative self-talk. The key difference is whether the thought is helping us understand our experience and more accurately and still allowing us to move forward, or if it's attacking us and keeping us in place. And how we talk to ourselves, it really does matter, because negative self-talk shapes our mood, our confidence, our motivation, our relationships. There's always a relational impact with unprocessed pain. It affects our stress levels and decision making, not least how we act. And over time, the repeated messages that we tell ourselves can start to feel like truth, and we can become so used to this pattern that we don't notice it as self-talk anymore, and it just becomes our reality. So now we know what it is we're dealing with. We're going to start working through this pattern using the 4 pillars of healing, which starts with awareness, because we can't change what we don't see. So this is the cycle of experience, which is essentially a pattern in which we have an experience that informs our thoughts, which influence our feelings, the sensations in our body, which then shape our behaviours, which then influence our experience, and so the cycle continues. But we can interrupt this cycle by developing an awareness of how the negative self-talk pattern might be showing up for us in our thoughts, feelings and behaviours, which enables us to recognise when it's happening and take action to soften its impact. So let's take it from the top and look at the thoughts. I'm going to state some common examples of negative self-talk. We're all different, so you'll note variations for yourself, but I invite you to just notice which ones resonate with you. I'm such an idiot. I always mess everything up. Nobody likes me. I'm not good enough. I can't do anything right. I can't handle this. I'll never change. Nothing ever works out for me. I don't deserve good things. I'm so awkward. I'm too broken to fix. No one would notice if I wasn't here. Now, you'll notice a few things about this voice, apart from the fact that it is, of course, very negative. It speaks in absolutes, always, never, so, to, no one, nothing, everything. This is who I am. This is what happens. The negative voice sounds justified because it hops onto emotionally charged moments and makes conclusions about them, like making one mistake become proof of our inherent incompetence. The voice sounds very familiar. It's in our head, and it often recalls the things we heard or had said to us by the people around us growing up. The negative voice fuses behaviour with identity. So if we have an interaction that goes badly, we might think, I always mess up, I just can't do relationships, instead of, I could have handled that a bit better and here's what I can do next time. One keeps us stuck, but the other helps us move forward. And you'll know already that negative self-talk happens across all areas of our life, our career, finances, relationships, health and well-being, hopes and dreams, you name it. So what I'd like you to do is to just consider how negative self-talk shows up for you. What kind of experiences prompt it? And I'd like you to jot down just one negative self-talk thought that you tell yourself often and the area of your life that you associate it with the most. Don't overthink it, just take a few seconds and pick one. So for me, it might be nothing I do matters, career. For you, it might be I'm not good enough, love life. I'm so awkward, social life. Whatever it is, just pop it down for now. Okay. So when we're experiencing negative self-talk, I'm not good enough, nobody likes me, all we have to do is notice that it's happening. Oh, I'm experiencing the thought that I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm having a thought that nobody likes me. That alone recognises and acknowledges our experience and creates a bit of distance between us and the thought, which effectively separates our identity. So I'm incapable becomes I'm experiencing the thought that I'm incapable. And this is how we interrupt at thought level. So let's explore the feelings, or more specifically, the bodily experience that occurs with negative self-talk, because it's essentially a self-protection pattern. So the body is going to be reflecting that. So we might experience a collapse in the posture, our shoulders rounding forward, a heaviness or sinking feeling in the chest, a dull ache around the heart area or fluttering in the stomach, or a weighted feeling in the arms or legs. Everything's going to feel heavy. We might also notice tightness in the throat, that we're making less eye contact, a subtle pulling away and a reduced sense of presence. And this happens because the body responds to the negative thoughts as if they were a real physical threat. So the body moves into shutdown, which is a protective state designed to limit exposure to emotional pain. So this physiological state essentially prohibits forward movement by design to keep us safe. But in doing so, it reinforces the pattern by confirming it. So let me give you a few examples. I think I can't do this. My body feels heavy and tight at the thought, and I recognise this as proof that I can't act, so I don't, which reinforces the loop. I think nobody likes me. My body contracts, my shoulders round, I shrink in on myself, and I read this discomfort as proof no one likes me, which reinforces the loop. So to interrupt the cycle at this point, our job is to just notice that we're having feelings that are causing some discomfort. I'm experiencing the feeling I can't do this. I'm experiencing the feeling that nobody likes me. And again, this awareness gives us a bit of distance from what's going on and allows us to simply validate our experience. So I invite you to read the negative self-talk sentence you wrote down and just notice. How does it make your body feel? Do you feel discomfort, tension, frustration? Whatever it is, just register the feeling that this thought brings you. Okay, so let's have a look at some common behaviours that arise in the negative self-talk loop. And remember, there'll be variations for everyone depending on our unique experience of life. But again, just note which ones resonate for you. 1, avoiding opportunities, like not going for jobs, courses, promotions, or relationships. 2, social withdrawal, like pulling away from friends, cancelling plans, isolating, not replying to messages. 3, people pleasing. So we'll be over apologising, over functioning, tolerating poor treatment, and probably have difficulty setting boundaries. 4 is perfectionism. Here we'll be overworking, obsessing over mistakes or choices. And 5, excessive reassurance seeking. Here we'll be doing things like repeatedly asking others if they're upset, disappointed, if they're okay, if they still care. And we're going to be doing more general behaviours as well, like procrastination, self-sabotaging, and giving up quickly. Now, I could keep going here. And as I said, everybody's different. But it's more about developing an awareness of how we respond behaviourally to this pattern when it arises for us. So I'd like you to look again at the sentence you wrote down and the area of your life that you most associate it with. And just consider what behaviours usually follow for you when you experience this negative self-talk. Again, don't overthink it, just take a few seconds. So, I'm not good enough, love life. You might tolerate poor treatment or people please. I'll never change, health. You might give up quickly or self-sabotage. I'm so awkward, social life. You might be avoiding opportunities or withdrawing. Whatever it is, just pop it down. So now we're building an awareness of what to look for. We've identified a thought. We've identified how it feels for us. And we've identified a behaviour that follows. So next we'll learn how to go a bit deeper. So that brings us to the second pillar of healing, integration. This is essentially where we get curious about why this pattern is coming up for us and what it needs from us. To do this, we can explore two key aspects: what might have caused this pattern to arise for us and what it's trying to do. So the roots of negative self-talk are typically the result of repeated relational experiences in which messages about our worth, adequacy, or acceptability were communicated to us directly or indirectly, and then internalized by us, shaping how we see ourselves and our place in the world. How other people treat us and speak to us as we grow up is going to become internalized as our own inner voice, because parents are godlike and infallible to a child. We take their words as truth, and children don't have the cognitive capacity to critically evaluate or contextualize the behaviour of other people. So instead, they absorb and organise around it. So negative self-talk is essentially an adaptive process, because maintaining a sense of connection to caregivers is essential for a child's survival. So the mind prioritises preserving that connection, even if it means locating the problem within the self. So let's look at 5 common root causes of negative self-talk patterns. And again, just notice which ones might resonate for you. Cause 1 is criticism, shaming, and perfectionism. If we face repeated criticism, unrealistic standards, ridicule, or emotional invalidation as we grow up, then how we speak to ourselves is going to reflect this. Cause 2 is rejection, bullying, or relational wounds. Again, if we had early experiences of exclusion, abandonment, betrayal, humiliation, or inconsistent affection with parents or teachers or siblings or school friends, this can create beliefs like I'm not wanted, I'm not enough. Cause 3 is approval and performance-based worth. When we grow up in environments where approval, love, and safety depended on how we looked, how we behaved, and what we achieved or what role we fulfilled, then we're going to be relating to ourselves from a place of it's not okay to be me. Cause 4 is trauma, chronic stress, or emotional neglect. The deep emotional pain and instability caused by these kind of events creates shame, hypervigilance, fear, and self-blame, and this too shapes our thoughts about who we are and how we relate to the world around us. And cause 5 is comparison and internalized societal standards, because we all live inside systems that tell us who we should be, how we should act, what we should look like, and what we need to do to belong. And those messages are echoed through caregivers, peers, and in the societies that we live in that shape our lives. And constant exposure to ideals around success and beauty and status and those things shape our idea of who we're supposed to be acceptable. I should be like this, but I'm not, so I don't belong, and there's something wrong with me. So you see how it follows. Now, just look at this sentence you've wrote down and say it out loud. Is this really your voice? Or does it recall something a parent or caregiver said to you growing up? Now consider the area of life you wrote down and what kind of messages you received growing up about this, about who you are and what's possible for you in this area of life. And now look back at the thought. How much does it echo what you learned about this area of your life? Okay, well done. So next, let's consider what this pattern is actually trying to do, because ultimately it's a strategy that is trying to protect us from future emotional pain. And it does this by shaping our expectations to reduce the impact of potential hurt by essentially taking on in advance. So it's oriented towards keeping us safe and managing our experience, even if doing so creates emotional pain. So let's have a look at 5 common emotional needs that drive negative self-talk. First, the need for acceptance and belonging. To avoid being rejected, the mind constantly scans for flaws that might make others dislike us. Nobody likes me, I don't fit in. So the protective function here is if I identify everything wrong with me first, I can prevent rejection or prepare for it. Second, the need for worth and significance. When our worth feels uncertain, the mind starts evaluating and ranking the self constantly. I'm not good enough, I've got nothing to offer. So the protective function here is if I keep pushing myself and highlighting my deficiencies, maybe others won't, maybe I'll improve and become worthy. And third, the need for safety and security. Because the mind tries to predict and prepare for danger by imagining worst case scenarios. I can't handle this, everyone's going to judge me. So the protective function here is if I expect the worst, I won't be caught off guard. And next, the need for validation and understanding. When we feel unseen or misunderstood, we're going to start questioning our experiences. I'm too sensitive. I shouldn't feel this way. So the protective function here is if I dismiss my own feelings, I won't be risk being dismissed by others, and I'll be acceptable. And finally, the need for compassion and emotional care. Because if compassion was scarce, inconsistent, or associated with weakness for us growing up, we learn that self-criticism is the way to deal with mistakes. What's wrong with me? I'm such a loser. So the protective function here is that being hard on myself will make me better. And of course, as with all other examples, there's going to be variations on these. So let's get in touch with the unmet need driving our negative self-talk thought. Just have a look at it. And what could this thought be trying to protect you from? Just consider that for a second. Being hurt, rejected, disappointed or misunderstood. You don't have to overthink it, just go with your gut. And next, I'd like you to consider, what does it tell you about what you need in that moment? To feel loved, safe or seen? Again, don't overthink it. And finally, I'd like you to write down just one small thing you can do to meet that need. So that might be just to hug yourself, to tell yourself, I see you, or I'm here. To eat a nice meal or have a drink, whatever it is. When we connect with ourselves in this way, we develop a deeper understanding of our needs and how to meet them, which deepens our self-connection and provides the internal safety that diffuses the pattern. And now we can start to shift it. Welcome to transmutation. This is pillar 3, where we transform from one state to another, and there are a few ways that we can do this. The first is to simply reframe the sentence into something more balanced that will help us move forward. So for example, I'm an idiot might become, I made a mistake, I can learn from this and decide what to do next. I always mess up might become, sometimes things don't always go as I hoped, but this is one situation, I do lots of things well. Nobody likes me might become, I may be feeling disconnected or rejected right now, but some people appreciate me even if I don't feel like it. And I'm not good enough might become, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I can continue to learn and grow. So return to the sentence you wrote, and I invite you to reframe your negative self-talk sentence into something more balanced that will allow you to move forward. You can hit pause to do this if you like, if you want to take more than just a few seconds on this one. Okay, and next, and my favourite thing of all, because it's so effective and simple, is to just feel our feelings and witness them. All we have to do is be present to the sensations in our body and allow them to move through us. Not only does this allow our feelings expression, but it also teaches us safety in self-experiencing, which essentially addresses the fundamental need of this pattern by providing felt self-connection. So I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And release. And again, a nice deep breath in. And release. Now, I'd just like you to bring to mind the negative sentence you wrote down. And as you think about it, just notice where you feel it in your body. This might be obvious or subtle, a little sensation or just a feeling, or the word of the body part in your mind. Just trust it. Now, drop your attention into this part of your body and just notice any sensations going on there right now. Just get curious about what's going on inside. If it helps, you can name them as you notice them. So this might be tingly fingers, racing heart, tight chest, wiggly tummy. Just stay with the sensations and take a gentle breath. And as you release, again, allow yourself to just feel and be present to your experience right now. If any thoughts or emotions come up, that's okay. Just notice them and return your attention to the sensations. Take a nice deep breath in, gently bringing your attention to your heart space. And as you exhale, you can gently open your eyes. Well done. Expanding our ability to just notice and be with these sensations as they occur gently softens the intensity of this pattern, of any pattern, and retrains our body into safety. We're effectively teaching the body that it is safe to experience these feelings and that we can take action regardless of whether or not those feelings are there. The goal isn't to get rid of the feelings, it's to just let them be as they are and act anyway. So let's look at the fourth and final healing pillar, embodiment. So this is the part where we get to make an aligned change. We now know how to identify negative self-talk in our thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. We've gotten curious about this pattern and explored its roots and the needs it's trying to address. And we've practiced being present to the sensations of negative self-talk as they move through us. So step 4, embodiment, is where we get to make a different, more self-aligned choice. So look at the behaviour you wrote down that arises for you in this negative self-talk pattern. And I'd like you to choose a different behaviour that will allow you to move forward. Nothing complex, just something simple that you can quickly do. So if you procrastinate, you might pop down to change to just 5 minutes of work. Or if you're a perfectionist, you might give yourself a 1 check only rule. Or if you self-sabotage your diet, you might eat an apple instead of a packet of crisps. Or if you withdraw, you might try being present for a bit longer, or reach out to someone you trust, or put a boundary in place where you allow mistreatment. Whatever it is, embodiment is all in the action of making a small aligned choice that allows us to move forward and expand. So I'd like you to just close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath in and out, and just picture yourself in that moment where you get to choose how you act when this negative self-talk pattern shows up for you. And just imagine yourself saying and doing the thing that helps you move forward. And put your hand on your heart space and say to yourself, I get to choose how I show up in this moment. Take another deep breath in And as you release, open your eyes. Okay, simple. This is the action you will take in real life to gently weaken this pattern when it shows up for you. So, your challenge for the next 2 weeks before the next workshop on a different topic is to practice 1, noticing negative self-talk and naming it. Oh, I'm experiencing the thought that I'm not good enough right now. 2, checking in with this part of you to find out what it needs from you right now. 3, dropping into the body for a few seconds to feel the sensations. Pounding heart, sinking chest, fluttering tummy. And 4, embodiment. We reframe the sentence into something that helps us move forward, and we immediately follow it with the aligned behaviour change. The beauty of this is that we can do this entire process comfortably within a few minutes as soon as we notice and name it. And we don't have to get this exactly right every time. We practice and build it up gradually. Healing doesn't have to be this massive ordeal and that takes us hours. We retrain old patterns in the moment through repeated small actions of presence that build up over time and naturally transform our relationship with ourselves into one of self-compassion, connection, and expansion. So every time we catch a negative self-talk pattern in the moment or later and address it, it builds up and we are done. Okay, thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this workshop, please hit the link below and pay what you can. I'd love to know who is watching and from where, so please say hi in the comments and let me know how this workshop went for you today. And of course, I want to know what shifts you experience by working with this pattern for the next 2 weeks. You've got this. I believe in you. Until next time, bye for now.